Come with me to do my balayage placement. This is something that I've learned from TikTok or watching Instagrams. There's a lot of different hand painting techniques out there, and this is just my personal favorite. I find it easy, there's beautiful blend, and you always get the best results. So you always are going to part in your 4 sections. I do leave that diamond in the back, and that just, the horizontal placement just makes it look so beautiful. So this is me doing the actual placement in putting the lightener. So when you're at school, they don't want you to use like the best products when you're doing your mannequins. So I did have to use liquid developer. So typically you want to use cream just because it's thicker, it's better to apply with, but I did not have that. So you'll notice it looks a little watery, and I used the Skylight lightener, but for some reason it came out super chalky, probably because of the liquid, but it's still gonna lift fine, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you notice, I'm doing horizontal sectioning, horizontal diagonal sections. I am teasing, and that just really gives you a really good blend. So that's just something that I learned, and that's something that I've been doing. And you don't want to tease it too much to where you're going to cause, like a mat, but just enough, just one little scoop up. And you always want to make sure your sections are really clean and really saturated on the ends, because I want my ends to be bright. And if you notice, when I'm doing the actual application, I am using kind of like that W shape. So I'm making sure I coat the sides of the hair, and then I'm gonna kind of just drag my brush up the middle, and that's just to create a soft line and give it that, where it kind of fades into the lightness on the very ends. And then when you drag your brush up the sides, you're creating brightness around that. So it kind of gives a dimension in the hair, but also gives you kind of that highlighted effect. So it's super pretty. And you see me placing a foil here. The reason I do this is because sometimes like your lightener will bleed, and I don't want any other hair to get lightened that I didn't want lightened. So that is why I do that. Typically I wouldn't use a clip, but for some reason that one wouldn't stick, so I did. And I do like to make sure that I kind of let go of the hair and stop putting tension on it. That's my bestie Lindsay. Hi Lindsay. But you see right here, I kind of let it go to see where it naturally falls, because I wanted to make sure that I really had a really beautiful money piece. And you see me here when I say bring your lightener up the side, this is what I mean. And you'll see a picture of it later on. And I'm still taking horizontal back sections. It's literally just a beautiful blend, especially if you're keeping majority of the top not lightened. Typically that's what you do for a balayage. And I'm using the same technique that I've been using. Something that I didn't mention is that for the ends, make sure that you're pulling that lightener through, like especially if they want that brightness at the ends. With the balayage technique, you're not gonna be getting a level 10. Usually you'll lift to an 8, it's a little orange, and that's fine. If they wanted something brighter than that, it would just take another application. But I'm not doing that. I just wanted a little dimension. This mannequin's new, so her hair is extremely thick at the top, but for some reason at the ends it's super thin. But I like it. I got it on Amazon. It was $30. I can post the link for you guys if you want that. So that way if you're wanting something similar to this mannequin, and she is really great. She took color well, so I would recommend. And again, I'm just doing slight teasing. I try not to tease in the front, because when you tease, you're creating dimension, and I kind of wanted that money piece to be a little bold there, so I didn't tease at the top. So you'll notice I'm just placing it directly. I put majority of my product, mainly because it's runny, but I put it right there where I'm gonna start my blend, and then I use my brush after dipping it in my lightener to kind of coat that money piece, and you'll see it right there. The more product you use and the better saturation, the brighter the lift. So always remember that. Making sure your saturation is good is key. And you can see here, you see the bright money piece. That is because I am placing a lot in her front, and I just continue to go over it. If I had the cream developer, this would have coated so much more easily and nicer, but it all lightens either way, so it's fine. And something about this mannequin too is she had a really heavy like side part, and it's super thick, so I'm just really mainly focusing a lot on that side, and I don't bring the lightener up too far because I really just wanted the brightness on the ends. But I do make sure that I keep that line, and I will place foils between each section here because I don't want that money piece to bleed on anything that it's not meant to be lightened. This is my final section, and if you notice on the back I did leave out some dropouts, but on the front I'm not leaving dropouts because I'm not teasing, and that's just because a lot of the times clients want their face to be super bright, but they want their back to be a little dimensional, so that's why I did that. Here's the result of all of my placements, all of the lightened pieces, and it's actually starting to already lift, and you can tell that in the back. And I usually let this process for 30 minutes or so. I want to say I let this sit for exactly 30 minutes. So I washed her out. I am not toning because a lot of the times, like, it's only going to lift orange. And I think that it honestly lifted super pretty, so I'm not going to use toner. I am going to trim her up a little because I have yet to cut this mannequin, and her ends are just super frizzy and very thin. So I'm just trying to keep the length, but I want to cut off all of the ends. So that's what I'll be doing. And in this part, if you notice, I grab both side pieces, and that is just to make sure when I'm cutting up, because I'm giving her that oval V shape, that I'm making sure each side is equal. That way I'm not having one side shorter than the other. And I'm using those sides as my guide. So something you'll notice here is usually when you're creating some sort of bang, you want to take a triangle section that I'm about to do here right at the part line. So because she has a side part, I'm going to be starting that at the side part. But this is so that you can get your guide for how short you want it, and then you can kind of diagonally cut from there. Something that I love to do, and I find it always ends perfect, it's always equal on both sides, is you pull it across the face on the opposite side of the part where you're cutting. So because I'm working on her left side, I'm going to be pulling it to the right, and then the right side I'll be pulling to the left. And that creates like a beautiful diagonal cut. So that is what I'm doing here. And I'm just cutting in pie sections, so I'm starting from the top where her natural part is, and I'm pulling it down. I'm taking 1 inch sections. And like I said, I'm not taking off a lot of length because all of my mannequins are short, and I would like to keep the length of this one. So this is the shampoo and conditioner line that I used. It is Paul Mitchell's Aqua Pui Wild Ginger. This is the Hydrate and Repair line. These are incredible, and I actually use this on my own hair. And I'm going to be showing you the after results. This is what it looks like. This is with no toner. I did curl her and with a little trim. Her ends are naturally thin and frizzy, but I wanted to maintain the length. So here you go.